What's going on, you guys? I'm here at YCS Pasadena with my brother Asian Persuasion. You already know.
Yes, sir.
Right? And we are here with Mr. Darren Stephenson. Welcome back. He's here in the States. He joined Jobber. Jobber's the best. Hi, Jesse. We love you. Links are in the description. And how did you do at this YCS, my friend?
I went 9-2 in Swiss and got top 32, losing the mirror unfortunately, but it was a lot of fun anyway.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I'm assuming you played the best deck?
Yeah, how could you not? Like,
How could you not?
There's 26 in top cut, like I had to be one of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you were, man. You were. Yeah. Before we get into, do you have any shout-outs?
Yeah, of course. Shout out to Jobber, check them out in the links below, and the 2C player. Shout out to all my friends that I've travelled with, especially the ones that I've stayed with, Bowden, Willen, and Luke Campo, who I've stayed with and played the same list with. Everybody else who played this list as well, and the Europeans that I've travelled with, Vlad, Jordan, Raph, and Brad, and everybody else. There's too many people to shout out, Disciples as well. It's so amazing to hang out with, and all the Americans and the Canadians that I've hung out with as well. So everybody.
Awesome.
Too many people.
Way too many.
Awesome. All right, man. Well, let's see what you played. Shout out to these insane tokens.
These insane tokens,
Best one.
bro.
Who's your favourite?
Oh, man. Flarion's mine.
Yeah.
Flarion out of the original ones.
Flarion's all cute and cuddly. It has to be Flarion.
Yeah.
So I don't know how standard this is now in terms of the tiers, but like the tiers, like you definitely like max out as much as you can. You max out on your hits. There's not an awful lot to say. Like this deck has turned into more of like a just mill and like it's not really a hope you hit, because if you max out, you will just hit everything. So you naturally just have to max out on these because these are your fusions. These you don't really have to max out on as much anymore, because like you don't really want to normal summon anymore, and like a lot of the time if you open this, it's just not as good because you open it as your only play. It's just not ideal. But you still want to play enough so you can hit it off your mill, so you can make Kaleido Heart and stuff. But like it was fine to play it too. It was playing at 1 for a bit, but like you just don't want it to get banished and stuff. I know you can put it back with Crime, but it just felt better just play as many names as possible, because this is still a good hit if you got a tier in hand as well. And naturally, like not an awful lot to say about these. Just max out as much as you can on the engines. Same as the Ishizu deck. Another reason why I played like 2 Reinhardt is because like it was really hard to get this down to 40, just because like a lot of this deck seems really streamlined that you just want to max out on all the stuff that's really good to hit. Like for example the mill stuff, like you always want to hit this, especially off of Sharon. Like opening Sharon with like one of these is like insane. I always mill. I know some people don't agree with like milling, but I think it's really important to just like put the variance in your favor, and not to come off as quite arrogant, but I think you have to try and just assume that you're just better than your opponent, and you get into a situation where if you mill 5, yeah sure, if you play in the mirror they can trigger their tiers, but it's still your turn, so you can interact with them better because you can play their stuff if you really need to, and it's normally fine even if they hit a tier, because you can mill Medora or Kello, which can just get rid of their stuff as well. And a lot of the time people misplay when they've got too much to do, because like the chain links are still going on, and like the mirror is quite hard, and I want to make it as hard as possible by just milling and add in more decision trees. Whereas if I don't activate these, I found that I was just losing on a Bystial a lot, or I was just getting like hit by Kelvic on like Hit Callus or something. So I always just played for the variance and just hoped that it got me there. And yeah, I couldn't cut these. Maybe the only one that's potentially cuttable is like a Yugioh, because it is the worst one. But you always just want to make sure that you max out your mills as quickly as much as possible, especially if you play in the mirror and they want to mill as well. And this is the best one for sure. Just want to say that, just because of an extender and it just deals with the graveyard. And like this is probably the best miller, just because it's a hand trap as well. It's not super good, but like sometimes they can just catch somebody who just isn't playing very well. Yeah. And I played the Bystials. Maxed out on Druid Swarm. Might look a bit weird, I only played 1 Magnamut and 1 Sornier. I guess people are probably thinking, why don't you just play 3 Magnamuts? So when you summon Magnamut and you activate its effect, if you have to, because you want to get your recursion up to get Druid Swarm, if you play in a mirror, they'll activate Hardness, and that is awful. Like you just don't want them to get any sort of advantage whatsoever, especially when you've just stopped their play. And if you've just stopped their play, then a lot of the time they might just have to pass anyway. And even if they still have the Hardness when you play into their board, that's fine. Like I'm more than happy for them to fuse on my turn than to fuse on their own turn, because they can do stuff like Link and stuff. So that's why I only played 1 Magnamut. And we almost just didn't play any, but you've got to play as many as possible. And plus, like, you don't want to draw multiples. You want to like pair them together. But you max out on this one just because this is the best one, I think, because its removal is just really good. And this can help chain block, but it's just the extra name.
Yeah.
And I don't think I played more, only because I just wanted to have as close to 40 as possible. I really want to play 40, but there's just some stuff I really want to play. Like this, for example, I played Herald of Orange. I honestly thought this was awful, but I only played it because I wasn't playing Diviner anymore, and I played Baron de Fleur, so this is just a way to make Baron de Fleur. And the cope with this was Sprite's better now because it can summon Toad again, and this can just make them pass a lot of the time if you hit their Beaver or whatever normal summon they play. And also this can pair really well with any of the Ishizu cards, especially if it's a kind of cope against Dweller. A lot of the time if you lose the roll against Tier and they get to that point, it's a bit rough. But if they have to mill or something, or if you catch them out of a Druid's Worm, or any Bystial, if they're trying to play around it by not activating their Kelbeck and stuff, you can just blow them out because they haven't took the gamble. If they do take the gamble, then sick. You can just if you've got this to hit their tier name and stuff. And it was mental. Every time I resolved it, I just won.
You're winning.
Just because the variance was just so insane.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not sure if I'd play it going forward, but it's definitely something I would consider. But it was really really good for me today. So naturally, this is just the best card in the deck. Nothing really much I can say about this. The Tier's removal is very limited, but if you have this, you can just do anything in the game. Maxed out on screen. This is just quite good, just especially when you're milling. You want to make your first turn board as best as possible by just adding the traps. I'll just put the traps down. So the Ishizu spells and traps, I played these. So it's normally quite difficult. Well, it was quite difficult to end on this because you always wanted to kick Callous early. But now it's much easier because of Scream, because when you mill Scream, you just add one. And Heartbeat, if you mill it, can also just add another one, whilst also just being a mine out. Because Mystic Mine was quite scary, but that's still main and out. But even if you mill the out and it's just stuck in the graveyard, one of these can just shuffle back your Tears and just pop it with it.
Yeah.
So you still had a mine out even if you lost this. So I wasn't really that scared of Mystic Mine. Admittedly, I did lose again to Mystic Mine, but it happens. It's always going to
just happens. Yeah.
But generally speaking, I wasn't that bothered. I was always prioritizing Crime. Last format, I thought Crime was awful. I tried Crime in the side last format just because the evenly match was quite annoying, and of course Mystic Mine. But it's just so much easier to get your traps and still end on a good board. Because normally you had to prioritize this and you could do the mill 8. But now if you hit Scream and you always get a trap, Crime's just been really, really good. And especially if you have Medora or a Keldeo stuck in your hand, this can just discard that, I think.
And it just triggers.
Sorry, one second. Yeah, it can, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a long
Yeah,
weekend.
I'm just thinking, oh god, it has been long. A lot of chain links. Yeah, so if you discard one, a loose piece that's in your hand, and have a Medora and Keldeo in the graveyard, it's just really, really strong. And not even against Tier. Well, it is against Tier, but against everything as well. So, even against Sprite as well, if they hit if they try to go for plays with Sprite Elf and stuff. And then of course this, because it's
God card.
It's ridiculous, yeah. And then the extra deck. So you go one kick Callous. This was terrifying, I will admit. I was quite scared of just playing one kick Callous, but you loop it so much to summon real Callous, it's just fine. So you're always putting it back. And the only time when this was a problem was when I played it with Fafnir and it banished it. But generally speaking, I didn't really notice only playing one. It was completely fine. And this for the extra removal, it's just mental trying to end on these two. I was ending on this in Dweller. People were worried that you could get Super Poly because you can Super Poly this and Dweller in the Mud Dragon. Oh well,
Nope, never happened.
I would rather make my board as good as possible. I don't think people should be playing Super Poly anyway because it's probably not that good. If they are playing Super Poly, sure, they can have it. I think Royal Callous is just really, really good in the mirror, and in general, just a really solid card. Mud Dragon just to help you ladder, and it's a level 4 to help make Dweller. Garura, another way of just laddering, and then often gets linked into Elf to help ladder and draw cards. This, just an extra boss monster fusion if you've used these. You hardly ever summon this, but these are the main ones. I always summon these, and these can kind of come up depending on how your mills are. So those are the fusions. This, didn't really summon this too often, but I'm kind of glad it was there. I guess I might have been playing suboptimally and not summoning this, because a lot of the time you can bring back Herald Orange, synchro this and this to make Baron, which was probably better arguably. And if I could do that, I did do that, just because it's just got more coverage. And then Dweller, just because it's just ridiculously good. Baguska, for when you get shifters, you can go Baguska. And also in simplified game states, Baguska is just really, really good, especially in a top decking situation. I played a mirror and they were top decking and their only out was Kaleido Heart, Rhino Heart, so I just made this. They did top deck Rhino Heart, so it's a good thing I played that. I never summoned Beatrice. It's arguably cuttable. People might think that's crazy just because the card's really, really good. But I didn't find myself in a situation where I was making it all. Maybe if I played more Bystials, I would make it more. But I think I missed something like Access Code Talker that had generally insane removal, because I think the removal in this can be quite limited. And Zeus, for when like you play against decks that play floodgates, like I needed this out like Necro Valley and stuff. And generally, it's just a solid card that just helped that mass removal, which can this deck can struggle with. Elf, the sprite cards are just insane in tier, more insane in tier than Sprite, which is just ridiculous.
It's crazy.
This just is a good way to end on, and just makes it so your Dweller and stuff can't be targeted if they have an Infirm. This is just one extra ladder if you need to send a Merly. And then the 2 Charmers. I wasn't sure if this would come up, but it really does. Like, you can do really cool stuff. Like, I was playing a Mirror and they summoned a Mud Dragon, I couldn't target their stuff. So I used this to bring back a Fafnir and then attacked over the Mud Dragon. And it was really awkward to remove it, but once the Mud Dragon was gone, I could target stuff again. So then I attacked again and used Fafnir to banish stuff, and it meant that I could get game. So this was quite important. And it can bring back the Ishizu Earths as well, just to help you like pick stuff like Dweller and stuff like that. It is quite important. I'm glad I played also.
Nice.
And then the side deck. I think the best removal right now is Lava Golem. Like, you don't really need your normal summon anymore in this deck, that's why I only play like 2 Reinhardt. And a lot of the time they don't really end on more than 2. You can argue to play Sphere Mode, but there can be scenarios where like, I don't think Sphere Mode pairs well with the Bystials, because if you're throwing Bystials at them and they have Sphere Mode, then they might not end on 3.
Yeah.
And then the 2 that they end on could be problematic. Whereas this just, it generally just seems better. More Bystials, like, you just don't want Tier to just play it all. Like, these were the side cards that I put in against the Tier mirror. Just more DD Crow-esque cards and just more removal. This went in against Sprite as well. I think this only really went in against Tier. These and 3 Dark Ruler no more. Since, like I mentioned, Sprite has gotten better. I know it might not seem like it has because Top Cut is mostly Tier, but you have to respect it to some degree, and I think it was important to do that, because every time I opened Dark Ruler no more against a Sprite player, it just made it significantly easier than what it would be, because Toad can still be a problem, especially when they've got Sprite crossover. Is that what it's called, the trap?
Yeah,
they can just keep looping the Toad, and that can just get really, really hard. Whereas if you just slap this down, you've already won at that point. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
And then just the back row removal. Like, I wanted to make sure that I had something just to get rid of back row. This was also just for the various statue for Flanders as well.
Yeah.
And that was it.
All right.
Awesome. Well, it's awesome to have you back. Awesome to see you in the States. Congratulations on the top. And thank you for the deck, Roboff.
No worries. Can't wait for the next one. Thank you.
Yeah, yes, sir.